All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fight Talk 2021. I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of an impromptu podcast, Fight Talk 2021. I want to talk about something, a big fight. As you can read below, Canelo versus Plant. It looks like it's dead in the water. But mostly the reason why I wanted to do this is because I got a new computer, I got a new webcam, and I needed an excuse to test it out. So what better way than to talk about, one of my favorite fighters, one of everyone's favorite fighters, the number one fighter in boxing. So let's get into it. Canelo Avlarez always fights on two dates: Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mexican Independence Day weekend. So that date is approaching. In about a month and a half, we are 1 day separated from August. So talks have been circulating, rumors have been circulating that he will be fighting Caleb Plant, the IBF super middleweight champion. But we have a little bit of news that's developing with that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on here. This, as you can see down below, was from July 20th. So on July 20th, we had sources: Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant finalizing September 18th bout for undisputed middleweight title. And if you don't know what that means, basically there's 4 belts in boxing, including the Ring Magazine belt. Canelo's got 3 in the Ring Magazine. He just needs 1 more. He needs that IBF strap to be the undisputed king. But there's all sorts of other politics in boxing, and that's what I want to talk about here. So for the past month and a half, ever since really he defeated Billy Joe Saunders in May, it's been talks. Okay, he's going to fight Caleb Plant. He's going to fight Caleb Plant. We're going to get this deal done. He has to go kind of into a different realm with PBC, and he has to get that deal done. But it looks like he was going to get that deal done. And then all of a sudden we see this July 27th, 7 days later, Canelo Alvarez, Caleb Plant fight talks break off with sources saying deal is dead. But why? Why is this? Let's see what they say. So Canelo Alvarez and Plants are now seeking new opponents as fights fall through rather than facing each other, blah, blah, blah. Canelo was going to receive a career high guarantee of $40 million and Plant to make an excess of $10 million, also his career best by far. And that's their guarantee. Then they have pay-per-view, they have gate splits, all that kind of stuff. Plant 29 says his bark is bigger than his bite. He was going to make $40 million, blah, blah, blah. They wanted the upside of gate and pay-per-view resume. Absolutely they do. So that shouldn't even be a question. It was always agreed that a kind of unification, no rematch for either fighter. Towards the end of negotiation, they asked for a rematch when they lose. No problem. You can have the rematch as well. I just want to fight. Okay, sure. Sounds good. We keep going on. This talks about how Canelo wanted that 20-foot ring, the commission standard back in May. Billy Joe Saunders wanted a 22-foot ring. Canelo said, no problem. Let's get it done. So now what they're saying is that these negotiations fell through on the 11th hour. And the reason being is because, here we go. One, that is absurd. If I get injured, and this is Plant talking, if I get injured or sick, then he gets a late replacement for the same amount of guaranteed money. But if I get sick or injured, he gets a late minute replacement. If he gets sick or injured, then we got to wait for him. We're at a 7.5 weeks from the fight. We've lost valuable time that we should be spent promoting and drug testing. Well, bro, hey, get ready for the fight. You know what I mean? I guess this is saying that they got to wait to eventually fight him. They can't take a last minute replacement. I don't know if that was the deal. Maybe they have a little bit of a cause, something, a little bit of merit with their argument on that. But this is what I'm saying. I don't think they ever wanted the fight. I don't think so at all. And I'll get into that in a second. I'll tell you what the real reason why this fight fell apart. But first, I want to talk about Canelo real quick. This guy is like a once in a generation, or at least our generation fighter right now. We got all sorts of politics in boxing. We got 4 different belts. We got all these different types of this, that, Matchroom, Top Rank, PBC, Queensbury, all these different promotions. Canelo has elevated himself into superstardom to the point where he can pick and choose, but he's not picking and choosing the easiest fights. He's picking and choosing the hardest fights. Back in the day, this guy used to fight at 154 pounds. Once upon a time, when people were saying that he was scared of Triple G, they said he was afraid to move up to 160. He then went up to 160, unified that division, has gone up to 168, really where he has no business being, is on a mission to unify that division. This guy is collecting belts like Thanos did in Infinity War. He is going by and just plopping them in his gauntlet. Over in May, he just went and collected another one. Boom, Billy Joe Saunders, give me that one. And now he's approaching Al Heyman, PBC, and Caleb Plant looking like this. Walking into Wakanda with his WBC Space Stone and saying, give me that last belt, give me that last stone. Caleb Plant is Vision, PBC is Wanda. They're trying to hold him back. But, it is what it is. So this is Al Heyman right here. This is the reason why this fight's not happening. I'll tell you right now. And the first thing that you see when you look at this guy, he's old, right? And the same reason why this fight isn't being made is the same reason why the Tyson Fury versus AJ fight didn't get made. That fell through at the 11th hour also. Wow, big surprise. These guys never wanted that fight. Bob Arum never wanted that fight. Al Heyman never wanted that fight. From what I understand, he initially offered Canelo Alvarez a 3-fight deal. PBC doesn't have 3 fights to offer Canelo. They know he's a free agent. That's another thing. The reason why Canelo's elevated himself to the point where he got out of that DAZN contract. He's a free agent. He could work with whoever he wants to. So now he's collecting these belts. So any reason why a fight doesn't happen isn't his fault. It's the other party's fault. And for whatever reason they want to make, whatever excuses they want to make, it is what it is. These guys, him, Bob Arum, same thing. They're operating on an old boxing system, an old, business model, right? Where they kind of protect their fighters. We look at what happened with Pacquiao versus Mayweather. That took so long. In hindsight, that took so long. People might argue it, but it took so long because of Bob Arum, because of Top Rank, etc. So check this out. We got Eddie Hearn here. This dude, you look at him, he's a young guy, right? He also represents AJ. I think he's one of the reasons why that fight was going to be made. But then last minute, we lost the arbitration. Tyson Fury, we have to fight Deontay Wilder again. Bob Arum knew that the whole time. Don't get it twisted. I'll go ahead and talk about that in another podcast. We'll get into that a little bit more. But Bob Arum knew that. He knew that the whole time. And Al Heyman, he knew this the whole time too. He doesn't want this fight. What he wants to do is because nobody's talking about Plant. A lot of people didn't know who Plant was unless you follow boxing. Last time he fought was in January against Caleb Truex. Nobody was watching that. But since then, Canelo's fought twice, and now he's calling out Plant. But what they can do is if they get, Canelo's going to fight Plant. Canelo's going to fight Plant. Canelo needs to fight Plant. He needs that IBF belt. And get all of these headlines, all of these articles, all of this promotion for Caleb Plant, but then pull him out and then have him fight somebody else. Now everyone's eyeballs are going to be on that next fight. Caleb Plant's fight, everyone's going to be watching that. They're not going to be watching the fight if all of this, people like me, real boxing fans, would be watching the fight. But without all of this promotion, nobody really cares that much. But now that they're going to have him fight somebody else, somebody like Caleb Truex, somebody, the PBC has a fight to make with him. They have David Benavidez. David Benavidez was the former WBC super middleweight champion. Where's David Benavidez? This guy right here. The former WBC champ. They can make that fight easy. But instead, now they have David Benavidez. He's about to fight a guy who was already beaten by Caleb Plant. That's his next scheduled fight. He already lost to Caleb Plant. Lost again since. I'm not saying losses define a fighter, but that's an easy fight to make, and they're not even making that within their own stable, right? So if they were to sign Canelo to their 3-fight deal that they wanted, because they want that Canelo money, Canelo's being represented by Eddie Hearn. He doesn't have to be represented by Eddie Hearn, but similar to the business I'm in real estate, Canelo's that free agent. He's like that client. He could come to me as Eddie Hearn, and I could say, hey, look, I have all of these in-house listings I could sell you. And those were the fights like Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, all of those. Or I could represent you with other people's listings as well. Now, those people aren't going to want that, because if you go straight to them, if Canelo goes straight to them, they get both slices of the pie. But instead, now they have to share that commission. It's the same thing in boxing. But Canelo wants Eddie Hearn to represent him because he knows that this guy at least has some sort of integrity. Now, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. That's what I believe, right? This guy isn't old. Bob Arum's 90 years old. Eddie Hearn's like 41. If Eddie Hearn's going to be around for 50 more years, he knows that at this rate of boxing not making the right fights to make, they're going to get passed over by sports like MMA, promotions like the UFC, because they're making the fights that people want to see immediately when they want to see them. Not this like, oh, we're going to sit back and wait type deal. So really, man, that is the reason why this fight is not happening. And if you look at the current world champions, super middleweight, Canelo, WBA, WBC, IBF, Caleb Plant, WBO, Canelo, the ring, Canelo. Canelo's doing things that other people are not doing. Like I said, once upon a time, he was at super welterweight. He had these 2 belts, and they were saying that he was afraid to fight Triple G. He went up, fought Triple G, ended up unifying the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles. People were saying, oh, he's afraid to fight Demetrius Andre, boo-boo. He goes up instead, not to super middleweight. He goes up to light heavyweight and knocks out Sergey Kovalev for the WBO. So I know a lot of people have, opinions about Canelo, things they want to say, but I think at the end of the day, they're wrong. That basically is what it is. So that being said, what's next? What's Caleb Plant going to do? I don't know. He's probably going to go down the IBF rankings. Let's see what that is. IBF rankings. Sorry, I didn't have this ready. Let's see. Let's go to super middleweight. Who's he going to fight? He doesn't have a mandatory. Number 1 and number 2 aren't ranked, so he's going to fight this guy. Nobody's heard of. This guy, nobody's heard of. Right here, he's already fought Jose. And beat him. David Benavidez is number 6. He could have fought him. Honestly, he should fight Danny Jacobs, but he won't fight Danny Jacobs because that's way too hard of a fight. So he'll probably fight one of these 2 guys. Maybe Anthony Durrell. Caleb Truex is all the way down here. Who knows? But who cares? They don't care. They'll probably get him the easiest fight that they can. The fight that has the least chance of him losing that belt if Al Heyman, is doing the right thing. But then we look at the champions, right? Canelo, what is he going to do? He's not just going to – he's already served his WBC mandatory. The WBA doesn't really care because they already gave away the regular belt. I'll get into a podcast where I talk about these belts and how whack they are, right? Look, they gave it away to this guy from Cuba, 5-0, whatever. No, what he's going to do is he's going to go up and wait again. He's talking about fighting Dmitry Bivol. Now people are going to hate on him. Oh, he should have fought Artur Beterbiev. Artur Beterbiev is a real guy at light heavyweight. Why would he do that? You know what I mean? If he's going to take that risk, you got to at least play a little bit into the hands of this boxing system and this boxing business model, right? You're just going to go up and fight the toughest guy when there's no hype behind that fight. He's going to go fight Beterbiev, and all these casuals are going to go, oh, he's fighting a no-name guy. Nah, what he has to do, he's going to fight Dimitri Bivol, get that WBA belt, because then he won't have to defend it. This guy, Robin, is going to end up getting elevated to regular champ. He can hold on to that WBA belt, come back, fight Caleb Plant for that super middleweight, completely unify super middleweight. Again, weight class he has no business in being in, and he really has no business being at light heavyweight. I mean, people wanted to talk about Gennady Golovkin. Don't get me wrong, I love Gennady Golovkin, but my man, this guy has campaigned his whole career at 160. Never has even breathed the word super middleweight. I don't even think he knows the word super. He only knows middleweight. He's never talked about going up. You got Demetrius Andrade. Never. I mean, he came up from 154, but so did Canelo. Jermall Charlo came up from 154, but who has he fought? Best fight he's fought was Sergey Derevyanchenko. Anyways, Canelo's going up. The best move for him would fight Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol's last fight, he fought a dude who had never fought anyone outside of Britain. And at the beginning, Dimitri Bivol is super good, super technical, but then he started fading at the end, started getting hit with shots he shouldn't have got hit by. When you watch that last fight, I implore everyone to go watch that last fight that he had. Look him up and see, and it looks right there. You go, oh, Canelo's going to take this guy. He's going to take his head off. The real fight that's going to be tough is Artur Beterbiev, and this is in a weight class like 2 higher than he should even be fighting in. If what really should be happening in the meantime, in between time, that Canelo goes and fights Bivol, comes back down and fights Plant, unifies all of this, has another belt at light heavyweight, WBA, assuming he wins all these fights. Artur Beterbiev better be calling up Top Rank, better be looking to make a fight with Joe Smith Jr. and unify, because Joe Smith Jr. has already lost to Dimitri Bivol. This guy's legit too. Don't get me wrong. Love this guy. Super close fight, his last fight, but that would be the move. Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. for all 3 of these belts. And then you're telling me that Canelo would unify super middleweight, undisputed, and then go up to light heavyweight and fight another undisputed fight? Dude, we're talking about stuff that's never been done. And not to mention, he almost unified undisputed middleweight as well. If it wasn't for the IBF on the last minute goes, he just won the belt May 4th, and they say, oh, you have to defend against our mandatory in August, by August 11th, or else we're going to strip you of the title. He goes, that's not even a date I fight, and your mandatory just lost his last fight for the belt, so this mandatory doesn't even make sense. And I had this opportunity to go up 2 weight classes and knock out Sergey Kovalev cold. Why would I do that? And then guess what? He never fought at middleweight again. He said, you know what? I'm going to go up here super middleweight where I'm comfortable. So Canelo, at one point in time, between 2 fights, had won the WBA, WBC, IBF, all at 160. All he was missing was the WBO, but went up 2 weight classes higher and won the WBO. For what I say, that's better than being undisputed at middleweight. Tell me not. You tell me if you put Demetrius Andrade versus Sergey Kovalev, that Sergey Kovalev is not going to beat Andre Boo-Boo, then why wouldn't Andre go up 2 weight classes? Why doesn't Gennady go up 2 weight classes? Why doesn't Charlo go up 2 weight classes? Charlo don't want to go up to super middleweight, but it is what it is. I'm seeing a future by 2022, by September 2022, where Canelo is fighting, where Canelo has all the belts at super middleweight, then goes up and fights for all the belts at light heavyweight. And what I really would love for him to do is put all those belts on the floor and say, all these are garbage. I run boxing. I'm the king of boxing. All these belts are nothing but nothing. So, you know what I mean? We'll see what happens. I know it's a little bit of a rant, just going on 20 minutes right now, but like I said, I just wanted to kind of get this off my chest, talk about this a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about the webcam. You know what I mean? Let me know if you like this webcam. And yeah, It is what it is. Until next time, ladies and gents, I am out. Oh, got him.